Okay. Good morning. Tony Dottino. Wanting to remind Tony, founder of the USA Memory Championship, and happy to announce that our 25th event is beginning this Saturday, July 27th, and we'll be zooming on at 11:30 a.m. And the mental athletes that have registered for the competition will be utilizing the Memory League games, and they should all have registered on Memory League's website for the activities and the events that they will be competing in. And we'll be taking the top 12 scores and inviting those people to Winter Park, Florida for September's final event, which will be on site and YouTubed out to everyone. And the second thing is we'll have two alternates, since the 12 usually whittles down by one or two due to various personal reasons. So that is coming up this Saturday, and we will be eager to see who our finalists are going to be. We have a number of new people coming in. Some of our former champions have elected not to compete, and so it's going to be a fun, interesting Saturday as we've got a number of the majority of people will be new mental athletes competing to see who's got the best memory. And they never want to lose sight. The purpose of the event is to demonstrate to people there is so much more you can do with your memory than you ever thought possible. And that, regardless of what age you may be at, improvement can be made. And so there's not a limit to the age or the limit to the belief first. As I always say, the belief you can improve your memory, and that it's hardwired and you're stuck with wherever you are at birth. And then as you get older, it's just guaranteed you're going to just forget a whole lot of stuff. It's all about learning what some skills are. How do you remember the names of people? How do you remember the list of things that you're trying to accomplish on errands that you do? How do you remember a shopping list if you haven't written it down or have it on your iPhone? How do you remember a string of 7 digits or numbers? How do you remember things you read about, books you read, policies, procedures, laws? How do you remember these things and retain them so that when you need them, you can pull them out and you have them for long-term use? So that's what the event is all about, and it's demonstrating that people have elected to demonstrate that they've taken the time to learn what some of the skills may be, some of the methods and systems. They are willing to, I think, be courageous and bold enough to compete against others seeking to see how well their memory stacks up, and then enjoy the sense of a competition. And so that's what we're doing this Saturday, and finding out from the people that have registered who will be the qualifiers that will come to Winter Park, Florida, and compete for the 25th USA Memory Championship winner. And the great part post that is we're planning on a Champion of Champions event up at MIT in November. And we're beginning to do the planning for that and inviting people to participate in that. And we'll see where that goes. So we'll have the Champion of Champions in November. So it's exciting. It's a good year for getting people to believe in the process of improving their memory and learning what those skills are, and then just getting a benchmark against other people. And again, I get a lot of emails on people, well, does it matter what age I am? I'm in a senior, and I compete in youngers, and I always found it interesting to see that the seniors think that the younger folks have better memories, and therefore they have an advantage. And the younger folks think the seniors have an advantage because they're older and therefore have more life experience. And when you understand how the principles of memory work, it's the life experiences that give you the ability to make links and connections that you can then build your stories and create your associations, links, and connections in the memory skills. that really have the advantage, if given that you've learned how to learn to use them. And that's what we've been doing. And then the other principle is we call this thing memory rhythms. You know, what are the active cycles of review for things that you're trying to remember for a test or an exam or a policy or something that you're trying to permanently retain? So what are the rhythms of retention that you need to go back and do a review? So this is what we're doing, and off we're going. Saturday's coming. It's only a few days away. Now we're back to an article that I want to share with you today. It's in the Tuesday, July 16th, New York Post. And it's talking about screen time alert. Kids are better with less. And so, God, there's been so much written about over the last 5 or 6 years about kids sitting at their laptops doing Facebooks or YouTubes or whatever. They're just sitting at their computers for hours and hours. And here was a study that was done according to research published in the JAMA Network Open, that in 2 weeks, parents could see significant improvement in a child's mental health and behavior by reducing leisure screen time to 3 hours weekly. So in just a 2-week period of time, parents were able to note a significant change in their children's behavior and their anxieties and emotions just by limiting their screen time. And that's pretty dramatic. Children spend 7 to 8 hours per day on screens for entertainment. However, when children drastically reduced their screen time, they showed significant improvements in their overall behavior and emotional well-being. So you want to think about that. My goodness. Children are spending 7 to 8 hours sitting at a computer terminal. What's happening to their social interactions? What's happening to their ability to talk with other people, to network and build friends and get out and play and go out and be physically active? What does that do to their sleep patterns? As I talk to some kids, it interrupts their sleeping and their normal rhythms of sleep. Researchers from the University of Southern Denmark analyzed data of children and adolescents between 4 and 17 years old. So if you're in that 4 to 17-year-old category, here's an interesting study for you. Half of the families were asked to limit leisure screen time for a maximum of 3 hours per week, a major change from the average of 7 to 8 hours, which I've already shared. Those who did found that their child improvement internalizing symptoms of behaviors that are hidden reactions to emotions and stress and their pro-social behavior obviously got better for those that reduced their time. Kids who change their habits experience a decrease in behavioral difficulties, moving from the borderline category to the normal, according to the strengths and difficulties questionnaires that were used as the assessment. Avoiding hours of screen time a day helped children better process their emotions and improve their social interactions. And if there's one thing I've talked about over and over, is the importance of social interactions, especially during the isolation periods and the quarantining periods we've had during the COVID epidemics. And if that hasn't shown up as lab experiments over and over again, I don't know what else would. And so here's a study now done at the University of Denmark. Now, researchers at Drexel University discovered that babies and toddlers who are allowed screen time are more likely to display atypical sensory behaviors associated with neurodevelopment disorders such as autism and attention deficit disorder. Now, this stuff gets crazy after a while. Now, this is Drexel University doing this with kids that parents used to, well, let me stick them in front of a computer screen, and here you now have a sensory behavioral associated with the disorders such as autism and attention deficit disorder. I mean, there's so much that we're still studying and learning this, but I just want you to know a couple of things. What we do know for sure is movement, physical exercise is healthy and wonderful for the human brain, for the human physiology. So we know movement is important, and if you're sitting at a computer for 7, 8 hours, I don't know how much movement you're getting other than, moving a mouse. Number two, we know that social interaction is crucial, and we knew that from the COVID years that has had an impact on kids in this age group. And I suspect it's had an impact on kids and adults in any age group by restricting their social interaction and minimizing their ability to get out and just see people. So you not only get the movement, but you get to see other people and what they're doing, experiencing, walking dogs, going shopping, pushing carts, parking cars. You just miss all of that interaction that you have that's good for mental health. And so the study that I shared here, Screen Time, not so alarming in its newness, but proving the things that we know would have an impact on mental development. So July 16th, it was New York Post coming up with an article on this study that was done in Denmark and then Drexel University. So hopefully there's something in here that you can grab away from the nugget and begin to at least minimize. I wouldn't try to take a person 4 to 17 with 7 or 8 hours and cut them back to 3 hours a week. That would just be like taking a heavy dose. I would try to cut it back at least if you start with an hour a day and just try to put a restriction on it from that point of view. I think it'd be very helpful. Look, hope all is well, and take care, and we'll see you back here on Friday as we approach our 25th USA Memory Championship.